Please join me in thanking the Massanutten Brass Quintet, which has provided our musical entertainment. Welcome to the graduates of the class of 2010. And welcome to the mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, friends, and relatives whose love and encouragement helped make today possible. I ask the graduates to stand and join me in a round of applause to honor and thank them. The parents in the audience understand how your professors feel today. We are immensely proud of what you have achieved, excited about your future, but sad to see you go. In August 2007, you walked into Caplin Auditorium brimming with talent, motivation, and concern. You welcomed the intellectual challenges that awaited you and met them energetically. It has been a true pleasure for those of us on stage to watch you grow intellectually and personally. During your 3 years of legal study, you did not ignore the world around you. Indeed, your engagement with this community and many others has been nothing short of remarkable. The class of 2010 collectively put in more than 10,000 hours in pro bono activities in assistance of those who cannot afford legal representation. You raised money and donated your time to countless important causes, including Children, Youth, and Family Services, the principal beneficiary of the North Ground Softball Invitational. Through the Public Interest Law Association, you helped make it possible for some of your classmates to take unpaid or low-paid public interest employment during the summer. Your class launched the inaugural UVA Law Public Service Day initiative and sponsored 3 public service days to benefit the Charlottesville community. You responded to the devastation in Haiti by creating Law Who's for Haiti, which raised over $18,000 for relief efforts. During these 3 years, you acquired a powerful new set of skills, the lawyer's ability to analyze and express ideas with clarity and precision. These skills are the primary stock in trade of a practicing lawyer, but they are much more than that. Anyone who has observed at close hand a well-trained lawyer's talent for solving problems and zeroing in on the most important fact or issue will not find it at all surprising that the President of the United States, Secretary of State, many United States senators, the CEOs of 9 of the nation's 50 largest companies, countless entrepreneurs, and the manager of my St. Louis Cardinals are all lawyers. You are trained to be leaders, and you will be, in your careers, in your communities, and in some cases, in appointed or elected governmental posts. You may feel some anxiety about launching your careers during a time of economic uncertainty. I have on my desk a selection of newspaper articles of the type you've all seen about the downturn in the market for legal services. Under headlines like "A New Era for Big Law Firms," they contain gloomy observations about layoffs, reduced hiring, and in some cases, outright failure. Some suggest that the big law firm model is broken and that clients will never again be willing to pay for the effort of brand new associates. Others focus on public interest organizations that are unable to hire despite great social needs. There is one silver lining in these articles. They were all published in 1981 to 83 when I was a law student. The American economy is resilient and innovative, and I have no doubt that it will provide many opportunities for you to use the skills you have acquired. At some future reunion of the class of 2010, we will all marvel at the many ways that you will have succeeded in the interim. Your law school is proud of you and confident of your future. We send you on your way today with our admiration, our affection, and most of all, our congratulations. Daniel Rosenthal, your student body president, will introduce our speaker. Dan is a 2004 graduate of Emory University, and after graduation is headed to White & Case in Washington, D.C. Dan has contributed to the vitality of the law school through his work with the Student Bar Association and has set an example for us all through his commitment to public service. It has been a pleasure to work with him this past year. Dan Rosenthal.
Thank you so much, Dean Mahoney, for those kind and far too generous words. Before I begin, I think we as graduates would appreciate the opportunity to take a moment to thank the faculty, staff, and administrators, both on this platform as well as those that we have shared the past 3 years with, who truly make UVA Law the wonderful place that it is. Thank you all so much. There's a certain bittersweet irony in the fact that there are only 2 times that we, the class of 2010, are able to sit together in the same place at the same moment during our time at law school. The first time we did so was on the very first day of orientation, nearly 3 years ago. I can still vividly remember anxiously taking my seat in Caplin Auditorium and listening to an assortment of speakers tell us what to expect from our time here at Virginia Law. We were told to expect to receive a world-class legal education from some of the finest professors in all of the country. We were also told that our first-year sections would quickly become like our second families, serving as a home away from home right here in Charlottesville. Lastly, we were told about the collegial, service-oriented, and fiercely loyal community that is UVA Law. But these speakers did not just tell us something about the law school. They also tried to tell us a little bit about ourselves. Now, we don't say this just about any class, they would each start off, but you guys, the class of 2010, you guys are the gold standard. The absolute best there has ever been, perhaps the best there ever will be. Was this mere flattery? Perhaps. But no, these speakers had numbers to prove just how remarkable our class really was. We were told that our combined test scores, our grade point average, and our extracurricular activities made us the most highly qualified and impressive law school class ever to be admitted to the law school. My apologies to Senator Whitehouse and the rest of the class of 1982. Well, 3 years have passed, and we are now sitting for the second and final time together as a class. After personally having attended the orientation of the last two classes to go through orientation, and listening to the same speakers introduce them to the UVA law community that introduced us, I can tell you that by my calculations, we're approximately the third most qualified class, at least since 2007. Of course, the point is that numbers alone do not tell the entire story about what makes a class truly remarkable. The presentation of the graduating class gift, which I have the privilege to announce today, is a time-honored tradition here at UVA Law. Rather than donate a plaque, plant a tree, or place a bench in Spee's garden, our class gift comes in the form of a pledge. Although the pledge is one of future financial support to the law school, it actually means much more than that. It represents an opportunity for each graduating class to express a sense of shared appreciation and affection for the 3 years that we spent right here at UVA Law, and hope that future generations of law students will have the opportunity to be able to have a similar experience. I'm proud to announce that over 90% of the class of 2010 participated in this year's class gift initiative. The overwhelming outpouring of support from the class of 2010 speaks volumes about the relationship we have with this school and the sense of community that has been fostered both between and amongst our class. I could not be more proud to be a part of the class of 2010. This is what makes UVA Law truly unique. It is the loyalty and devotion that is felt towards this institution by anyone who has spent time in these hallowed halls. Each generation of graduates passes the character and values of the law school, that of collegiality, a dedication to legal excellence, and a commitment to public service, down to the next group of individuals who have decided to call UVA Law home. One person who embodies each of these extraordinary qualities is this afternoon's commencement speaker. A true public servant in every sense of the word, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse has spent nearly all of his adult life working in the public's interest. A graduate of the class of 1982 at UVA Law, Senator Whitehouse clerked for Judge Richard F. Neely of the Supreme Court of Appeals of West Virginia. He then went on to serve in a number of public roles, both at the state and federal level. First as the policy advisor and counsel in the office of the governor of Rhode Island, as well as the state's director of business regulation. Senator Whitehouse was then appointed by President Clinton to serve as Rhode Island's U.S. Attorney in 1994. In 1998, Senator Whitehouse was elected as the Attorney General of Rhode Island, a position he held until 2003. In 2006, as I'm sure you all already know, Sheldon Whitehouse was elected by the people of Rhode Island to be their next United States Senator. In his first term, Senator Whitehouse has already established himself as a passionate and zealous advocate for a wide range of issues, including the closing of Medicare Part D donut hole, challenging the legality of waterboarding, fighting to reduce climate change, and many, many more. For each issue, Senator Whitehouse has brought tenacity and a keen intellect to his advocacy and legislation. His unmatched commitment to public service and legal excellence has brought pride to his constituents in Rhode Island, as well as this law school that proudly calls him an alumnus. Please join me in welcoming the junior senator from Rhode Island, Sheldon Whitehouse.
Thank you, Dan. Your apology is accepted, so long as it's clear that 1982 had been the best class out of the UVA Law School until 2010 took the prize. It is a great honor to share this day with the University of Virginia Law School's graduating class of 2010. You worked hard, and if traditions are intact around here, you played hard. And now for each of you, limitless opportunities lie ahead. Your parents and your families had a lot to do with you being here. I know they are very proud of you on this wonderful occasion, and a few are probably also somewhat relieved. Wherever the innumerable paths of opportunity may lead you, I hope you will look back, as I do, with affection to this place where it all began. If my experience is a guide, it was here that you first wrestled with the great mysteries of the law, such as the Dormant Commerce Clause, the First Amendment, and the rule against perpetuities. I hope the intellectual puzzle and fascination of the law will always stay with you, as it has with me. Indeed, as I stand here today, I ponder what the statute of limitations is in Charlottesville for parking tickets. Less than 28 years, I hope. But what a privilege you have had to attend this wonderful institution. A seat of civic dialogue and intellectual debate, a place of frank discussion, but also of camaraderie and friendship, a spirited environment for learning, consistent with the founding vision of Thomas Jefferson, who believed in this university so fully that the inscription he prepared for his gravestone lists Father of the University of Virginia, but not President of the United States. Like many of the founders, Thomas Jefferson had a particularly high vision of public service. He would be very proud of the record of this law school. Hundreds, if not thousands, of alumni have served as prosecutors, judges, local and state officials, or in the federal government. When I came to the Senate, I was proud to join fellow alumni of the law school, Senators Evan Bayh, Bill Nelson, John Cornyn, Kit Bond, Ted Kennedy, and Virginia's own John Warner, making UVA the best represented law school in the Senate, or as some of our rivals said, at least the most represented law school in the Senate. But clearly the law school is doing something right to encourage such widespread commitment to public service. I think the law school can also be proud that it exceeds all of its academic peers in a humane and healthy quality of life. Thomas Jefferson once famously told us to determine never to be idle, but he didn't say you have to work all the time. I recall with a group of friends here inventing an additional way to compete in one of our classes, a small seminar. The game was simple. You had to earn as many points as possible with certain achievements during the course of the seminar. Those included being the last to arrive, leaving early, mispronouncing the professor's name, and asking the dumbest question of the day. By the end of the semester, the competition was neck and neck, and on the final day of class, one friend came in very late, mispronounced the professor's name, asked the dumbest question, not of the day, but of the year, turned on his heel and walked out, sweeping the laurels and claiming victory in our competition. I don't know if that experience could have happened at another law school. I hope that sort of thing still happens here, because I think it is important, and you are lucky, to attend a school that in all of its academic rigor and intensity, and all of its stern preparation for the outside world, also nurtures and empowers the humane capacity for fun. In sum, you've been extremely fortunate to attend this great school. Nonetheless, it is only now that the most rewarding part of life in the law begins in earnest for you. And I'm supposed, I guess, to give you some advice about that. I frankly don't feel qualified to offer you much in the way of life advice. To paraphrase a law school movie, look to the person on your left, look to the person on your right. 3 years from now, not one of you will remember what I said here. If you needed any advice, I suppose Alice Roosevelt Longworth's on life is about as good as any. Fill what's empty, empty what's full, and scratch where it itches. But I will venture 3 thoughts about lawyering, the craft on which you are about to engage. My first thought to share is that unforeseen and unimaginable opportunities do await you. Every day of your life in this profession is a potential turning point. Luck and hazard are ever present, and your training can take you a great variety of places. Your life's trajectory is never settled. Never, never. Unless you choose to stop seeing the choices around you and deliberately deliver yourself to the daily drudge. Don't do that. Do what you need to do, learn and absorb, pay off those student loans, but never, never, never give up on the turning points to which your heart can lead you. My second thought is perhaps obvious, perhaps even tedious, but I think it bears repetition, that you should always act in the law to the highest standards of decency. Thomas Jefferson once gave us the following maxim: whenever you do a thing, though it can never be known but to yourself, ask yourself how you would act were all the world looking at you, and act accordingly. Law as a profession and as a process requires a degree of good faith, a measure of candor, and a dose of decency for its proper function. occasions arise when a lawyer outside public scrutiny is faced with a chance to cut corners, to tilt a situation unfairly in a client's favor, to be a little less than candid, or to sidestep legal constraints. Let me assure you, all the little chips of advantage a lawyer may chisel off by cutting corners, piled all together, will never make up for the loss of reputation and self-worth that is the inevitable price a chiseler sooner or later pays. Remember Thomas Jefferson's maxim and President Lincoln's adage that a lawyer's only assets are his or her time and reputation, and challenge yourself against the highest standards of our profession's history. As I said, that's perhaps a bit tedious, but no one is perfect, and this is a goal that each of us is well served to strive for. For this goal, the success is in the trying. Finally, my third thought. The Bible says, hold fast to that which is good. You and I learned here that much which is good about America is found in our rule of law and our insistence on due process. I have held a great many positions in government at the state and federal level, in the executive and legislative branches. My father once said, "Sheldon, you don't seem to be able to keep work." But all my experience has been only to confirm and reinforce what I first learned here, the central importance of the rule of law in our American system of government. In the play A Man for All Seasons, Thomas More is challenged by an ardent acolyte who says he would cut down all the laws of England if it would help him to defeat the devil. More answers him, "Oh, and when the last law was down and the devil turned round on you, where would you hide, the laws all being flat? This country is planted thick with laws from coast to coast, and if you cut them down, do you really think you could stand upright in the winds that would blow then?" More concludes, "I'd give the devil benefit of law for my own safety's sake." This is the tradition we inherited, and today America is a beacon to the rest of the world because of the rule of law. So remember our nation's founding principles and hold fast. America has great military power and immense economic strength, but as President Clinton has said, the world has always been more impressed by the power of our example than the example of our power. America makes its greatest difference in this world's history, not by force of arms, not by power of wealth, but because we stand for something. And it is in what we stand for that we find our most enduring strength, our most lasting contribution to humanity. Through world wars and civil wars, westward expansion and Great Depression, through our best and through our worst, we have been sustained by our balanced rule of law. Hold fast to that. Remember also that government lends itself to abuse and needs its safeguards. Let me emphasize one today. Legislative and executive agencies of government were designed to be responsive to public opinion. Well enough. But they are therefore proven vulnerable to tampering by wealthy interests that seek to influence an outcome. Such tampering is indeed an activity now licensed and regulated under our campaign finance and lobbying laws. But one institution of government is deliberately beyond the tampering of powerful interests. Tampering with the jury is a crime. The founders put the jury in the Constitution and Bill of Rights 3 times, and for a reason, to ensure that in at least one forum, the powerful and the powerless have equal standing. Not for nothing did de Tocqueville describe the jury as, before everything, a political institution, a mode of the sovereignty of the people. And the chapter of democracy in America in which it falls is not for nothing the one entitled, "On What Tempers the Tyranny of the Majority." The founders' design was that when the governor's been bought, when the lobbyists have the legislature tied in knots, and when the owners of the newspaper have steered public opinion against you, the courtroom is still your sanctuary. At the hard, square corners of the jury box, the tide of influence stops, and facts and argument and law prevail. So when powerful interests attack the institution of the jury, the runaway jury, as they often call it, look for their motives. Trust the founders, respect their wisdom, and hold fast. The jury is, of course, just one element in our balanced machinery of government. It is in its full, complex, interlocking scope that machinery's full majesty appears. So also remember the wisdom of our carefully tuned American balance of powers. The internal and often frustrating, let me tell you how frustrating, checks and balances of our democracy. The passion of shouting with torches down the street is invigorating, even intoxicating. But through history, the story of America has been a larger story than just that of surge and counter-surge of torchlit mobs. Why is this? What makes our country a light aloft in the world's darkness? Our society, a city on a hill. What is it that defines America and defends our liberties and determines our ever upward course as a nation? I think you have learned here, in this school, what it is. Fidelity to the rule of law, fidelity to our Constitution, fidelity to the finely balanced American system of governance that is our hallmark and our hope, fidelity to due process of law for popular and unpopular alike, fidelity to the individual moral responsibility that comes with an oath of office, greater than fealty to power or party or person. Hold fast to that knowledge and those principles. Graduates of Virginia, law school class of 2010, our nation's commitment to the balanced rule of law is a living legacy, an American legacy, dating back to Thomas Jefferson and the brilliant James Madison and George Washington, the great Virginians. And now you are here in this place at Mr. Jefferson's University, at your farewell. You now take your leave of this place and of this time in your lives. I would ask each of you at this moment of parting to reflect on this. From the very day of your birth, you have, each one of you, been the heirs and beneficiaries of that great American legacy. You have enjoyed its shelter and protection. Today, your minds disciplined by this great university, your spirits enlivened by your own individual energies and talents, you now go forth from here as that living legacy's new caretakers and its new champions. I trust it is in good hands. I wish you well. Congratulations and Godspeed.
Senator, thank you so much. One of the most enjoyable parts of this ceremony is the opportunity to recognize some of those who have contributed so much to the law school and the community over the past 3 years. The awards to be presented today to members of the class of 2010 are described briefly on the back page of your program. Listed there are honors and awards already conferred upon members of the graduating class. The award recipients we honor today have not previously been so recognized. Indeed, most will not have been aware of their selection before I call their names, but I will ask them to stand briefly and be recognized. The Virginia State Bar Family Law Book Award, established by the Family Law Section of the Virginia State Bar and the Virginia chapter of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers, and presented to the graduating student who has demonstrated the most promise and potential for the practice of family law. The The 2010 recipient of the Family Law Award was President of the Jewish Law Student Association, Dawn Kelly Miller. The Virginia Trial Lawyers Association Trial Advocacy Award is presented to a graduate who shows particular promise in the field of trial advocacy. The 2010 recipient of the Trial Advocacy Award was executive editor of the Journal of Law and Politics, Robert Carroll Boutwell. The Eppa Hunton IV Memorial Book Award, given by the Associates of the Richmond law firm of Hunton and Williams in honor of Mr. Hunton, class of 1927, and presented to a graduate who demonstrates unusual aptitude in courses in the field of litigation and who shows a keen awareness and understanding of the lawyer's ethical and professional responsibility. The 2010 recipient of the Eppa Hunton Award was notes editor of the Virginia Law Review, Alexander Ibrahim. The John M. Olin Prize in Law and Economics, presented on behalf of the Olin Program to a student who has produced outstanding written work in the field of law and economics. The 2010 recipient of the Olin Prize receives the award for his paper, Optimal Opt-Out, the Effect of the Payroll Tax on Married Women's Labor Force Participation, and was Chief Justice of the Moot Court Board, Jonathan Adam Wolfson. The Earl K. Shaw Labor Relations Award, established by Mr. Shaw, class of 1934, and presented to the graduate who shows the greatest promise in the field of labor relations. The 2010 recipient of the Shaw Award was on the editorial board of the Virginia Journal of Social Policy and the Law, Stephanie Ann Acousti. The Mortimer Caplin Public Service Award, established by Mr. Caplin, class of 1940, who has long been associated with the law faculty and the law school, and presented to a graduate entering a career in the public service sector who demonstrates the qualities of leadership, integrity, and service to others. The 2010 recipient of the Caplin Award was on the editorial board of the Virginia Journal of International Law, Thomas J. Knapp. The Herbert Kramer Herbert Bangle Community Service Award, established by the late Mr. Kramer, class of 1952, and presented to the graduate who has contributed the most to the community during his or her time in law school. The 2010 recipient of the Kramer Bangle Award was a director of the Public Interest Law Association, Erin Patricia Krauge. The Roger and Madeline Traynor Prize, established by the late Chief Justice Traynor and his wife, and presented to two graduates who have produced outstanding written work. The first recipient of the Traynor Prize receives the award for his note, District Court Opinions as Evidence of Influence, Green versus School Board and the Supreme Court's Role in Local School Desegregation, and was on the editorial board of the Virginia Journal of International Law, David Eric Reinsmith. The second recipient of the Traynor Prize receives the award for his note, Separate but Equal, Virginia's Independent Cities and the Purported Virtues of Voluntary Interlocal Agreements, and was articles editor of the Virginia Law Review, David Kendall Roberts. The Robert E. Goldston Award for Distinction in the Classroom, established by Mr. Goldston, class of 1940, and presented to the graduate who has contributed the most to classroom education by his or her outstanding recitation and discussion. The 2010 recipient of the Goldston Award was on the editorial board of the Virginia Law Review, Greg Scott Hilson. Unfortunately, Mr. Hilson is not with us today. He is assisting his wife, an active duty naval officer, with her duties at Fleet Week in New York. The Law School Alumni Association Best Note Award, presented to the member of the graduating class who authored the best note in a current volume of a law school publication. The 2010 recipient receives the award for his note, Confusion and Coercion in Church Property Litigation. He is also the recipient of the Edwin S. Cohen Tax Prize, established by the late Professor Cohen and presented to the graduate who has demonstrated superior scholarship in the tax field. The 2010 recipient of the Best Note Award and the Cohen Tax Prize was Articles Development Editor of the Virginia Law Review, Brian David Schmalzbach. The Law School Alumni Association Award for Academic Excellence is presented to the graduate with the highest academic record after 6 semesters. This award will be presented in the fall. We're grading as fast as we can. The Thomas Marshall Miller Prize is established by Emily Miller Danton in honor of her father, who attended the law school and presented by vote of the faculty to an outstanding and deserving member of the graduating class. The 2010 recipient of the Miller Prize was co-director of Students United to Promote Racial Awareness, Brett M. Murfish. The James C. Slaughter Honor Award, established in honor of the late Mr. Slaughter, class of 1951, and presented by vote of the faculty to an outstanding member of the graduating class. The 2010 recipient of the Slaughter Award is also the recipient of the Z Society Shannon Award, presented to the graduate with the highest academic record after 5 semesters. The 2010 recipient of the Slaughter and Shannon Awards was Articles Development Editor of the Virginia Law Review, John Savage Moran. The Margaret G. Hyde Award, established by the late Forrest J. Hyde, Jr. from the class of 1915 and presented by vote of the faculty to the graduate whose scholarship, character, personality, activities in the affairs of the school, and promise of achievement have entitled him or her to special recognition. The 2010 recipient of the Hyde Award was a director of the Public Interest Law Association, Crystal Sue Shin. Before presenting the diplomas, I have the happy duty of informing you that Blair Wimbush, a graduate of the class of 1980 and the president of the Law School Alumni Council, will be stationed at the end of the stage to my left to present each graduate on behalf of the Alumni Association with a memento of the law school. We will now prepare the stage for the presentation of diplomas.
Is that enough? Sure.
That's pretty
I will now call the roll of the graduates for presentation of diplomas. For the degree of Juris Doctor, Alan Abrams. Stephanie Ann Acousti. Marie Elise Acosta. Gretchen Diana Adelson. Sarah Amadia. Mishima Alam. Jennifer Albert. Kara Ann Allen. Warren Elliott Allen III. William Sutton Ansley. Aaron Michael Armstrong. Nathaniel Benjamin Arnold. Chioma Madeline Ayogu. Anna Turner Bagwell. James Blake Bailey. Tamar Bakbava. Elaine Elizabeth Ballweg. Deepti Bansal. Lindsay Blair Bartlett. Jane McCord Beal. Paul Balanik. Alexander Patrick Barang. Rajiv Kumar Bateja. Christine Marie Bohm. Ingrid Allison Burma. Adrian Francoise Boone. William Lawrence Bosson. Douglas Patrick Boughton. Robert Carroll Boutwell. Charles Allen Bowen. Laura Conyers Bauer. Ryan Adam Boyd. Douglas Nelson Boyle Jr. Brian David Bremer. Jonathan Masaji Brent. Erica Nicole Brewington. Kyle Philip Brinkman. Catherine Megan Brockway. Audrey Elaine Brown. Christopher Brody Brown. Daniel Paul Brown. Jessica Lynn Brown. Michael Tyler Brown. Greta Louise Burkholder. Thomas Dorian Burns. Alton Burton Jr. Jared Madison Campbell. George Scott Candler IV. Darian Sierra Capron. Kristen Nola Carruthers. Zechariah Russell Carter. Roland Chang. Jessica Nicole Childress. Veronica Elaine Hart Chittum. Karen Elizabeth Clark. Gregory Andrew Clark. Corey Dustin Clay. Elizabeth Ann Cochran. Irva Alicia Valona Cockfield. Celia Victoria Attinger Cohen. Joseph Michael Cohen. Barbara Justine Kohlberg. Matthew Mackenzie Connell. Patricia Suzanne Cooper. Brian Paul Coppola. Lindsay Elise Correa. Kelly Hendry Cotting. Brady Randall Cox. Erin Patricia Crougy. Tyler Matthew Cuff. Bradley Dowell Curtis. Christopher James DeHaan. Jeremy Maxwell Dale. Smitha Caroline Dante. Fred Naff David III. Sarah Nicole Davis. Elizabeth Ann DeFelice. Travis Edward DeArmond. Catherine Diane DeMamiel. Elizabeth Deem. Andrea Carday Dieterle. Clinton Joseph Dockery. Gregory Allen Dodge. Matthew Brandon Donaldson. Joseph Vincent Doyle. Dane Morris Dunson. Kenneth James Duval. Susan Alexis Edwards. Andrea Lynn Emanuel. Bilal Antar Ezzedine. Patrick C. Fagan. Matthew Heston Farmer. Joel Hurt File. Jordan Bowden Fight. Sarah Catherine Feldenkris. Troy Benjamin Felver. Tamara Fishman. Ian David Fisk. Casey Aaron Fitzmaurice. Daniel Joseph Foray. Laura Michelle Foster. Robin Lee Freeman. Jennifer Alicia French. Aaron Ross Friedman. Carlton Curtis Gammons. Nicholas Alexander Gard. Andrew Edward Garrett. Stephen Hewitt Garrett. Alexandra Veronica Garrison. Ashley Carol George. David Michael Gettings. John Patrick Gunadic. Blake Carlisle Goebel. Andrew Robert Golden. Stephen Patrick Gould. Lisa Louise Graff. Thomas Marion Gray III. Alexis Danielle Gregorian. Scott Harris Grimmer. Meredith Lauren Grizzle. Daniel Aaron Grossman. Stephen Max Grossman. Kristen Lynn Hass. Christopher E. Hahn, Stephanie Janelle Handon, Christopher Robert Harding Jr., Carla Joyce Hardy, Caroline Ann Harmon, Michael Robert Harris, William Christopher Hart, Natasha Hederi, Jonathan Andrew Henry, Stuart Ian Hyatt, Daniel Joseph Hickman, Joshua Hinckley Porter, Todd Mark Hinkey, Elizabeth Ann Hinshaw, Kathleen Chin-Ing Ho, Thomas Michael Ho, Kelly Ann Hodges, Emily Jamaica Honig, Rachel Danielle Grodner Horvath, John Aubrey Howell, Michael Anthony Howes, Andrew Howlett, Grace K. Huang, Zhou Huang, Christopher Hutchison, Alexander Paul Ibrahim, China Alexis Irwin, Adam John Jancy, Umair Javed, Lucy Beth Jennings, Andrew Thomas Johnson, Guillermo Hover Cataldi, Bridget Rose Joyce, Bradley David Justice, Corey Gerald Kellstrom, Dallas Jacob Caplin, Dimitra Calliope Karamanos, Syra Kareem Najim, Emily Margaret Kelly, Scott Martin Kelly, Sarah Mallory Clayton, Tim Daniel Knox, Lee Carolyn Kobrinsky, Nathan Shaw Cook, Kendra Whitney Kokofsky, Thomas John Krepp, Megan Marie Lacey, Taylor Thomas Lankford, Kristen Ann Laster, Mike Layfield, Casey Kyungsei Lee, Lisa Ying Leong, Samuel Adam Levin, Edward Dan Liang, Christine Grace Lynn, Andrew Jasperson Lockhart, John Albert Laisel, Chad Arthur Logan, Jennifer Elizabeth Long, Sebastiano Mario Lorello, Paul Joseph Lockman, Catherine Teresa Leiden, Matthew James McDonald, Christine Elizabeth Mandel, William Benjamin Mann VI, Savannah Marion, Adam Raphael Martina, Serge Martin, Lauren Elise Marziani, Jose Antonio Massini Torres, Fiona Rose McCarthy, Jacob Gabriel McCloy, Christopher Michael McCoy, Barry Clayton McCraw, Travis Ryan McGivern, Charles Mitchell McGuffey, Jordan Edward McKay, Jason David McKim, John Vincent McNulty, Margaret Davenport McPherson, Andrew Kelvin McRee, Andrew John Mellon, Ramesh Krishna Menon, Michael Richard Menson, Brett Matisoff Murfish, John Sebastian Mikulski, George Benjamin Milam, Ellen Elizabeth Miles, Courtney Cordell Miller, Dawn Kelly Miller, Elizabeth Jenna Miller, Lisa Helene Miller, Catherine Jordan Mims, Gregory Lewis Mokadine, John Savage Moran, Jason Maynard Morris, Nicholas Matthew Mosvik, Patrick Morgan Mott, Ashley Aaron Mullen, Amanda Muller, Stephen Wills Murphy, Samir Najam, Corey Nicholas Neal, Nicholas B. Nelson, Timothy Vin Nguyen, Christy Claire Nehans, Mary Elizabeth Neiman, Elizabeth Ligon Norton, Rogan Patrick Nunn, Natalia Oninger, Raphael Joseph Oriana, Justin Matthew Osborne, Linda Wayeman Otagbe, Paul James Overmeyer, Erin K. Oyama, Jacqueline Ann Paolucci, Jimmy Eric Pardue, Nilakshi Pandigamage, Michael Pass, Anand Bipin Patel, Eric Grant Penley, Joelle Sue Perry, Lenora Christine Pettit, Amy June Pence. Sante John Parachi. Sorry about that. Laura Catherine Pitts. Kristen Pierce Poole. Whitney Blake Price. Brendan Eugene Radke. Daniel Evan Perel. Douglas, where are we? Dipti Ramnarayan. Douglas William Rainey. Edward Joseph Reed. Spencer Reed. Stephen Lowell Reichel. Emmerich Rage. Caitlin Jane Reynolds Vivanco. David Eric Rhinesmith. Kevin Paul Riddles. David Kendall Roberts. Michael Keith Robertson. Sarah Elizabeth Robertson. Jessica Renee Rogers. Lauren Darley Roscoe. Daniel James Rosenthal. Jason Robert Rotner. Nicole Rustin Paschal. David Alvarez Satter. Arthur C. Sadick. Jill Renee Sager. Suzanne Afaf Sam. Andrew Souder. Brian David Schmalzbach. Kevin Thomas Schneider. Nicholas David Schneerman. Christopher Braden Shane. Jamie Lee Neighbors Shane. Bryce Kwang Shunke. Kent Jacob Seaburn. Sarah Melissa Segan. Thomas James Sider. Renu Piyush Shah. Robert Seth Hewitt Shapiro. Helen Shochin Shen. Kenneth Christopher Shevlin. Crystal Sue Shin. Adam Justin Sibley. Corey Sirkin. David Curtis Smith. Minu Melody Sabhani. Crosby Andrew Summers. Michael Ronald Sorrell Jr. Christopher C. Spring. Chelsea Canning Stein. Taylor Grayson Stout. William James Stowe. Peter Douglas Strupp. Daniel Robert Sullivan. Ehsan Tabish. Joseph Henry Tavery. Allison Sylvester Taylor. Florin J. Taylor. Lori Ruth Taylor. Rita Taylor. Brendan James Thomas. Virginia Ann Thomas. Erin Nicole Thompson. Matthew Clark Thorne. Catherine Marie Threw. Nicholas Robert Timmons. Sarah Beth Tomio. Benjamin Allison Tracy. George Sy. Matthew Joel Turner. Kristen Joe Euchre. Benjamin John Upton. Ellen Legene Valentine. Brian Christopher Vanyo. Ryan Christopher Vaughn. Rebecca Catherine Villarreal. Nathan Paul Wacker. Michael Ryan Wakefield. Kyle Edward Wamstad. Kendall Eugene Wangsgard. Jeremy Wyatt Weinseer. Christina Michelle Weisner. Brian Michael Wells. Stephen Wendell. Jean Price Whitehead. Adam Christopher Whitehouse. Diana Christine Villalobos. Zachary Michael Williams. Mary Elizabeth Winchurch. Derek Wolfgruber. Jonathan Adam Wolfson. Sarah Margaret Wood. Catherine Martha Warden. Fiona Catherine Worrell. William Thomas Worthy. Lori Elizabeth Wright. Edmund Charles Wabeli. Christopher Stratton Wynn. Jin Yen. Matthew Joseph Yao. Ellen T. Yeadam. Latif Zaman. Christopher Thomas Zerpoli. Karen Eileen Donovan. For the degree of Master of Law, Muhammad Nasef Ali. Juan Cruz Aceri. Ana Paula Khalil. Yini Chen. Stephen Mark Dines. Lucia Droita. Felipe Esteves. Jan Willem Hierums. Eli Jeronmaya. Rashad Guliev. Stephanie Honrard. Dominique Hockley. Jenny G. Irina Katalaevskaya. Nayun Kim. Ayushi Kiran. Diane Kissler. Ulrich Klockenbrink. Tetsuo Kurita. C.D. Lang, Benedict Johann Meyer, Chul Ki Min, Kate Louise Nadeau, Keisuke Nakahata, Haryo Budi Nugroho, Bruno Pierin Furiati, Frederick Popp, Julia Rademacher, Elise Ruggieri Abonat, Kome Shimizu, Keiko Sufuji, Niha Udeshi, Zuchong Wang, Jinglu Zhu, Yunling Yi, Chun Zhang. And for the degree of Doctor of Juridical Science, Mikhail Buchhandler Raphael. And this concludes the calling of the roll of the graduates.
Your graduation from all knowledgeable observers was supposed to have been ruined by thunderstorms. I hope you continue to have this level of good luck for the rest of your careers. Today, you join more than 16,000 Virginia graduates who have gone before you. Most of those graduates remain actively involved with the law school, and we hope you will as well. In any given year, well over 1,000 of them return to this building. They come to teach as adjuncts or short course instructors, to judge first-year oral arguments or moot court competitions, to speak to student groups, to help select the recipients of scholarships, prizes, and other honoraria, to participate in the governance of the law school through service on the Law School Foundation Board of Trustees or the Alumni Council. They come, of course, to recruit students for their law firms or other organizations. And they return in great numbers for their reunions. Some even have the great pleasure to return to see their children graduate from the law school. We hope to see you often, and we also hope that you will always feel as much a part of the Virginia family as you have over the past 3 years, and will take pride and pleasure in your association with the law school and with the class of 2010. This concludes the ceremony, but there is a reception waiting for us inside, and you are cordially invited to linger for a bit and wait out the traffic. Farewell and best wishes.